Hello, welcome to the program. I'm your host, Mike Ventura, and today we'll be talking about salt tip damage. This happens to be a leaf of an avocado tree, and you notice that the tip of the leaf is burnt, and that is an indication of salt buildup inside of the soil. The plant is telling us we have salts inside of the soil, and salt tip damage is always found on the tip of the leaf. Okay, so now let's talk about how you manage salt tip damage. This is an example of a soil pH meter. And you can see on here we have alkali, we have acidic. And you want to maintain your soil right around that 6.5, maybe slightly alkali, 7.0. Reason being is you want to have a soil that is in the slightly neutral or slightly acidic range, 6.5, 7.0. And you want to be able to keep it so that the salts are kept flushed out, and having slightly acidic soil keeps those nutrients available, and most importantly, you encourage salts to go down and flush away from the root zone. By having a soil that becomes compacted and compressed, such as on a heavy clay soil or clay soil where you have a lack of organic matter, and it tends to start getting squeezed down. Consequently, when you irrigate and you have salts in your water, it builds up into the soil. Then when the roots are grabbing the soil particle and they're pulling nutrients up, and you have an excess amount of salt inside the soil that is not being flushed out around the root zone, now what's happening is the salts are being pumped up back into, and we talked about conduction. And so now what's happening is salts are being conducted back up into the vascular system of the plant, and salt accumulation, it always shows up on the tip of the leaf. And salt tip damage is very, very common for many of the plants in the garden, especially in plant material that has to have more of acidic range soil or a soil in well-drained soil. And when you start seeing salt tip damage, that's telling you that the soil is not draining very well, and consequently, salts are building up around the root zone. And as a result of which, when the roots are grabbing nutrients off a soil particle, now what happens is salts are being conducted up into the tree. Also, we talked about another nutrient deficiency, and that was zinc deficiency. When you start seeing problems associated with salt injury, salt tip accumulation at the tip of the leaf, start looking at the fact that now your soil pH is going up. That's why the pH scale is very, very important, because it's going to tell you what the pH is inside that soil. And now you have salt tip damage which is happening, which is associated with the pH as it's going up. And consequently, now other nutrients begin becoming unavailable to the root system, even though they may be inside the soil. Avocado trees are a very, very good indicator plant, as are other plants, but in this case, avocados are a very good indicator plant when something's happening inside the soil that you don't see, but the foliage is going to express it to you as in this case, a concentration of salts. So how do we manage that? Well, what we do is we encourage deep irrigation, use of mulch. Avocados do very well with mulch. What's very, very important with avocado trees is they want to have a well-drained soil. They don't like their trunks getting wet. So vertical mulching is an extremely good practice to use with avocado trees, because you encourage moisture to get down deep into the soil. The use of mulch or leaf litter is very good around the avocado trees. That way you keep your compaction down. Avocado trees do not like soil compaction. They want to have a nice pliable soil, and where there's available moisture but it's not wet. You want to avoid having the trunks get wet. That's why with drip irrigation or irrigation away from the crown, your trunk taper, very, very important. But most importantly, having good drainage is essential for avocado trees, especially when you're trying to flush the salts out of the soil and you want to have those nutrients become available to the root system and reduce those salts that can build up and start getting pulled up, and then you start getting discoloration of the foliage. So to wrap it up with salt tip damage is always associated on the very tip of the leaf. You'll get that burn effect, and so that's telling you that your soil pH is probably going up, and so you need to encourage to get water to go down deep. Again, you want to encourage that vertical mulching, or a means of getting that water to go down deeper on the root zone. Reduce soil compaction, very, very important, because avocado trees do not like to have compacted soil. And so with that, go enjoy the garden.